and strategy. And of course, management, which is very key in times like this where you have a pandemic that is easing in terms of the reopening phases across the world that you see in economies and even businesses. These are trying times for leaders, heads of governments, CEOs, chairmen of boards, and even entrepreneurs. And one important discussion across is how we apply leadership and how people embrace it and how people carry around their lives. We'll continue our conversation today as we look at growth mindset, ideas that will make you thrive. Amidst all these challenges, you need to have a growth mindset. You can't be stunted, you can't accept any law in your activities. And we have with us here in the studio, a co-anchor on this program, Mr. John Wese, a strategic management consultant and CEO of Syntech Nigeria Limited. Nice to have you, sir.
Otto, thank you.
Yes.
Nice to be back.
It's another weekend.
Well, yeah, it's another weekend. So
When
much to
people are
thank
going
God.
around, with families are discussing their plans, people are having online virtual activities. We are here to discuss strategic management.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
to tell you
that's
that the
very
human
important.
mind is elastic.
Yes, yes.
You can expand the human mind to adapt.
Adaptation, that word is very key because one of the most important discussions across the world is how people can adapt and move on, learning from the whole situation that we've seen around the pandemic. There was an interesting webinar that looked at the local realities, the global pandemic and the local realities, which brought out some very interesting conversations around leadership, around the application of strategy and how we can engage people more, which you've talked about several editions ago. But we'll continue the conversation on growth mindset, ideas that will make you thrive, which is very important. But let's look at some developments that were occurred through the week. And before we go on, let's just give the updates on the COVID-19 cases in Nigeria. Currently, the current confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria are 7,261, while we have 221 deaths and 2,007 recoveries. Once again, let me take that figure. 7,261 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria with 221 deaths and 2,007 recoveries. Interesting figures we are getting. The first aspect I'd like to look at is the ramping up of tests in the country. At the moment, we've seen that over 41,000 sample tests have been carried out by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC. An improvement, which we've always been talking about. The more you test, the more you get to know what is really happening in terms of those that are confirmed, those that are active, and those that are even on stage to recovery.
Otto, thank you. This is a good development, but our numbers are still not good.
I understand your point.
Why?
We're better than where we were.
That's true.
As a densely populated country.
That's true, but it depends on what your benchmark is.
Yes.
Ghana is testing more. So
South
our
Africa
numbers,
the same,
South Africa the same. In fact, in West Africa, while we are ahead in terms of number of cases, all right, we are below Ghana in terms of number of tests that we've been able to do. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Well, we are also ahead in number of positive cases. The gap between Nigeria and Ghana is not so far. Yeah. However, we also have good numbers in terms of recoveries. Okay, we have good numbers in terms of recoveries. Yes. In trying to avert a second spike or a possible spike should the lockdown be completely relaxed, that's why we need to ramp up our testing. Now, what are the state governments doing? Yeah. I know a number of state governments have ramped up whatever they are doing, okay? But some of us pray that it is not rhetorics. We hope we're not having numbers that are not true. Do not blame my slight pessimism or cynicism, if that's the way you want to look at it. The reason is because up until now, we have never believed in the integrity of the data that we share with the people. Now, if you recall, in the course of this pandemic, the Lagos State Governor, Jide Sanwo-Olu, had to confess and say never has he realized the importance of what? Data than now. So when we used to tell them this, especially not just data, the integrity of your data. Okay?
Yes.
The integrity of your data. Never have we, at any particular point in time, got to that stage in our national movement, in our national development, that the integrity of the data. So we're not just talking about data any longer. We're talking about what? Its integrity. So if you come back to how our state's doing, they should just tell us the truth. So you now know where help can come. You saw the NCDC, they screamed up. They screamed and they said this. If I was told Kaduna State has done a total lockdown again, as they saw their numbers.
Yeah, yesterday we had a opportunity to listen to the governor at the webinar on his thoughts, but just let me allow you to
okay, so on the fact that they saw their numbers going up and they now said no, so he went back to what? Complete lockdown. You get my point? Yeah. I had said something about the governor of Kaduna State, whether you like him or not. You cannot take away his pragmatism. Yeah. You know, the strength of his knowledge on getting results. How he gets it, you and I may not like it, or people may not like it, but are we seeing the kind of results he's getting? Is it good to manage a crisis situation? My response is, that is very good. Yeah. You get the point?
Yes.
So, yes, I do agree. States need to ramp up, but they should tell us the truth, okay? They should not hide. They should not grandstand. You know, it's not a political issue. It's a very systemic issue, as the case may be.
Okay, the 36 state governors had a meeting with the vice president under the auspices of the National Economic Council. Yeah. And they agreed that they will work closely with the COVID-19 Presidential Task Force chaired by the Secretary to the Governor of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa. And they're looking at coordinating efforts around reopening the economy. So what you're saying is very critical, because the integrity of data, openness, transparency, where you need help, you say it, becomes very important. But I want to bring in something which I know is being debated, and I know people will say, I mean, if that's their case, I mean, Kogi and Cross River State continues to be a case, because in our reports, we keep saying that they have not recorded any official case. In the US, I know people will say bringing comparison, but all 50 states for the first time recorded at least an index case for the first time in a pandemic. So I'm trying to say, isn't it an opportunity to really engage more with the NCDC to assist where they require real tests to really confirm at this point that there's no index case in those states?
Why are we engaging in this debate between Kogi and Cross River State? Now, the reason I'm asking that question, I'm serious, is you don't force truth. You know, truth reveals itself.
Okay.
There was a saying I tweeted not too long ago. I said, time reveals more than it tells. Yeah. Okay? So, however they are managing it, however both states maybe are managing the crisis in their states, I want to leave it to their wisdom, to their actions and to their behaviors, okay? However it wants to be. Now, but let's come to the issue of the NEC.
Yes,
you know,
the coordination and then the opening economic
they
phase.
have no choice. So they actually shouldn't just stop at the COVID-19 task force, presidential task force. They should also work with the COVID team as well, because it is one nation. It is one destiny. You know, remember that? I'm not sure whether you remember which slogan was that. That used to be NPN slogan in those days anyway. You know, we say, NPN used to say, it's one nation, one destiny. You get what? It's one nation, it's one destiny. Yeah. So it's the outcome of the NEC meeting is fantastic. So they must work both with the presidential task force, the outcomes that they are getting, as well as with the COVID team, together with the team in the petroleum sector, because I understand they have their own their own team, their group,
contributed over 20 billion naira.
Whatever they are doing. Yes. So it's a holistic approach. It's our nation. So that's fantastic. Now, how that coordination is done, how that marriage is done, is critical. They must not be made. They must not make it to be ensconced not to be submerged in bureaucracy, but they must make it such a way that it's something that is an issue about our nation. It has nothing to do with anybody. So that's fantastic. That's a fantastic move by the NEC, and the outcome with the head of the team, which is the VP. Don't forget, by the way, even the CBN governor is a member of that.
And the Minister of Finance is a member
of that
even
team.
the FCT Minister too.
Yeah,
but finally, before you get to your own presentation, community transmission is the biggest concern. And that was why, like when you talked about the governor of Kaduna, he said yesterday that all they are doing is to ensure that we don't get to that phase, because it could be very, very challenging when it gets to full-blown community transmission. That is why he posited that he will still want a measure that doesn't talk about full reopening of the economy for now, until that is managed effectively. Lagos State, for Mr. Sanwo-Olu, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, it's a very active economy. It's the heartbeat of the nation's socio-economic space. Facial reopening of some sectors, maybe kickstart 30% with manufacturing and agro-based deep activities, 20% look at tourism and then aviation. Just look at those sectors that can begin to gradually reopen. So for you, community transmission is the biggest fear at this point. If you were sitting with the NEC and were asked to provide
a solution, what will I say? For you to provide a solution, you need to go out there. Although earlier in the week, I was at the computer village at Ikeja.
Yeah.
I was scared. Were people wearing masks? Yes. People were wearing masks. The offices, the shops, I just took a stroll there. All right. I like to, by virtue of my nature, I like to experience things firsthand. So I know what to say.
Yeah.
I was scared. Now, what scared me was, that was just on a Monday, because I understand they're allowed to open thrice a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I was scared. The population, the way we were milling amongst each other, the way we are going amongst each other. So El Rufai's caution, I buy it. We need to find a way to create a balance. It's not easy a decision. I would still say yes, there could be some gradual opening. With what I saw at the computer village at Ikeja in Lagos, okay, I experienced it firsthand. I was scared. You get my point? I can just imagine if the entire economic activity in Lagos is opened up. You can imagine even though some shops were closed, a good number of shops were still closed. So the picture I tried to paint in my mind was, imagine if all of the shops were opened. What would happen? We were wearing masks, okay? Where some of the shops you want to enter, the hand sanitizer or whatever, they were there. But amongst the way we were moving around, hitting each other, because this is the #1 computer accessories market where in West Africa, even though we've not opened borders.
Yeah.
Imagine when we opened borders. So the caution that Governor El Rufai is asking us to exercise, and let's open the economy gradually. Trust me, it is a wise decision, because he has been there. He is talking from a first-hand experience of a patient.
Yeah.
You get the point? So that's why we must listen to him. I've been to Tigba, computer village. Yes. So I can tell you, I left there scared. Immediately I got back, the clothes I was wearing, I emptied everything immediately and rushed into the bathroom and gave myself a thorough bath. So you can imagine, yes, we need to do whatever we can while we open the economy in phases. It doesn't matter the states that you are in, okay? Let's also watch. Let's send our enumerators, like the governments, send their enumerators to all these key milling points, markets, malls, and see what is happening. all these hotspots and see what is happening. From there, they can come back with information which they can, or data they can sit down. Our leaders can now look at, okay, from this information that we've got, what insights can we deduce to help in managing governance?
Yeah. Very interesting. I mean, you can go on, but I think next weekend we will discuss about the pattern in the US where you have a state saying, okay, I don't have any index case, maybe we can reopen fully, or so facial according to state levels and all that. But we'll discuss all that in next weekend, because if we continue like this, we will miss this year very, very loaded presentations.
No. Thank you, Otto.
Okay, so let's leave you to continue. And,
thank you, viewers, and good morning. Welcome. And I do hope you've been following, because it's important, because certain things are happening in our system. We need to have a growth mindset. Let me do a quick recap. Last week, I started talking about the characteristics of with a growth mindset individual, someone that had a growth mindset. And I said their main focus is that they believe skills, intelligence, personalities, they can be developed, if you recall. So what's your mind like? How are you in the midst of the current issues that we are having? You get the point. You need to still have that. And I'm also saying, what I said last week was that it's not just that you can develop new skills, you can start new businesses, you can start a new career, or you can develop new behaviors, or a mindset, as it were. Again, I'm also saying you can extend or enhance your current capabilities. You can also extend whatever offering in your business. If you're involved in any business, whether you're big, large, or small, you can also extend your service offerings. You get, apart from creating new service lines, okay, you can also extend that. I also talk about you can develop new capabilities. You could increase what your learning is. You know, I don't know about you. For me, I can't tell you the number of online learnings I have taken part in the last 8.5 weeks. I have done in excess of over 20. Not to talk of the over 200 I've done before. That's the truth. So what capabilities, because things are changing, I need to respond to not just the environment, I also need to respond to what I think my clients are going through and what they might be requiring. So you need to know that you need to extend that. And I ended last week's presentation when I talked about the key phrase. I said, you need to tell yourself that you are not inadequate. So for a growth mindset individual, your main focus is to tell yourself, I am not inadequate. Why am I not inadequate? Because I have given myself room to enhance my current skills and abilities. I have given myself room to know that maybe there are some new behaviors I need to begin to develop so that it will enhance my value proposition in every relationship that I find myself, as an individual or as a corporate entity. This is very important. Today, I want to continue within that context of the growth mindset characteristics. Today, I want to talk about what I call part of the characteristics. How do people with a growth mindset, how do they see challenges? How do they see difficulties? How do they see challenges? How do they see obstacles? How do they see difficulties? You might probably say, okay, John, you are talking about things I can develop, but this is the reality I am faced with. The truth is, every organization is facing one obstacle, challenge, or difficulties. So whether it's a challenge or it's an obstacle, it's a difficulty, these are just synonyms. But I'm asking you, how do you see it? Because the way you see it, which was why when I started last week, I talked about creating or developing a new mindset. The way you see your current situation, the way you see the current situation that you are faced with will determine what the outcome will look like. How do you see your current realities? Are you seeing it more from a perspective of challenges and troubles and things that are insurmountable? Are you seeing impossibilities? People with growth mindsets, they see obstacles, challenges differently. They first of all embrace it. You've got to embrace difficulties, obstacles, and challenges in the course of your life's trajectory. You need to have that mindset to say, okay, fine. Especially if you've been following this series, if it's a situation that you cannot, if a situation is a circumstance that you cannot control, that you have no control over. We've been asked to stay at home. We've had different kind of lockdowns. Some of us cannot travel to even go to where our primary businesses are. So we've been locked down where we are. So the issue is, are we, those of us who are like that, are we going to stay stuck and do nothing? No, we're not going to do that. So I'm asking you that you don't need to do that as well. You need to embrace challenges and obstacles as part of your life's journey. So people with growth mindset, they embrace challenges, obstacles. So you need to have that as part of the capability you need to develop, as part of the mindset you need to develop. Another thing they do is they, instead of seeing those obstacles or those issues as obstacles, challenges, difficulties, they see it as what? Growth opportunities. How are you seeing the current system, your current situation? Have you been followed? Have you been asked to go? Have you lost your job? Is your business insolvent? Have you closed down shop, or you're about closing shop? How are you seeing your current circumstance? Have your salaries been slashed? Has something happened to you? It doesn't matter the situation that you are in, either personal in your career or personal in your social or psychological, emotional life. How are you seeing the current situation? If you look at it, if you see it differently, you are also going to experience all the benefits that come. The way you see your current situation will tell the kind of results that you will have. Will also tell me the kind of mindset that you have. Another thing people who have growth mindsets demonstrate, the way they see challenges, obstacles, and difficulties, is they see, in spite of the obstacles that they see, they see it as an opportunity for them to be what? Persistent. You've got to show perseverance. You've got to show perseverance. This is important. So you need to understand the power behind being persistent. Persistent because of what? The opportunities you see behind the obstacle. The opportunities you see behind the current difficulty. The opportunities you see behind or ahead of the current challenge that you are going. That's the truth. Maybe some of you wanted to get married. Your dates have been fixed. And all of a sudden, the date is now being shifted. And you are having concerns and worries. Why don't you see it differently and say, listen, I am only getting better prepared for a better home tomorrow. Maybe your appointment letter was given and you've been told to hold on. An employer employed you, and because of the current situation, you've been asked to hang on a little bit, and you're allowing anxiety to get the better of you. Why don't you see it as an opportunity to what? To grow more, to enhance your skill, to prepare better, to understand this organization better, to understand the industry better, which is what I talked about last week. Enhance your current capabilities. Develop new mindset. The truth is, in every man's life, the way you see things, the way you see situations, the way you see circumstances, if you see them as challenges, obstacles, or difficulties, especially if this is the reality that you are faced with, it's very important. If you recall, in one of my series, I talked about the transition. What it takes you, the time it takes you when you begin to experience a challenge or a difficulty to the time you begin to accept it and begin to take positive steps is very important. There's a particular saying, I don't know who said it, but it is credited to Dr. David Oyedepo, the head of the Living Faith Church worldwide, popularly called Winners Chapel. He said, every man's ignorance is his obstacle. Your ignorance, my ignorance, is a function of the kind of mindset that I have. So if I begin to see my obstacle differently, there's a chance, there just may be a chance that I can do better. So the growth mindset I'm asking you to develop today is, how do you see challenges, obstacles, or difficulties? I am saying you need to increase your persistence. You need to learn persistence. Stay through. I am also saying that you need to see growth. Either you grow personally in size, or you grow in knowledge, or you grow in experience. And I also said you need to embrace obstacles, challenges, and difficulties. Because these are the opportunities or the situations that you have that allow you and I to grow. If you are able to do this, if I'm able to do this, there is no way we will not come out of any challenging situation, any seeming impossible situation, with a victor's mindset. While it is true that every man's ignorance is his obstacle, it is also true that it is not over until you win. Although that's the story for this week.
Well, I mean, the part of the obstacle is really touching, and quoting a notable faith-based leader talking about the fact that when you're ignorant of something, it could become a very great challenge for you. Is something that means that we need to broaden our scope of understanding.
Absolutely.
Knowledge. I mean, Professor Amit Kauzi from Harvard University was saying yesterday at the webinar that part of the challenges from this pandemic is the knowledge crisis, the knowledge failure, the fact that this has brought again a new opportunity to learn how to respond and approach to challenges, not looking at it as an obstacle or a difficulty, but an opportunity to learn and look at a new approach to challenges like this. Because sometimes leaders could find themselves helpless and say they don't know what next step to take. But like you said, the challenges are there, but we have to look at the opportunities. The obstacles are there, but we must really rethink our approach and models amidst the difficulties.
Let me add to what that guy just said in his webinar, which you just cited. This pandemic, none of us that are alive, that are adults today, were alive when the last one came.
Yeah.
So what our viewers should go home with, it was like a revelation to me, it was insightful, is that we are all learning. Because we are all learning, but we are learning at different what? Levels. We are all learning at different levels. So if we embrace, which was what I talked about last week, is an opportunity to enhance, our current capability. There's an opportunity to develop new skills. You get my point. And that's why when we started, we talked about the situation in Nigeria, the states and all that. And I told you, everybody is learning. Everybody is learning. So if you, as an individual, all right, or as a corporate entity, if you tell yourself, here is a situation that we're all learning. So your anxiety level will do what? Will go down.
Yeah.
There was a way that insight dawned on me. And as I talk to some of our clients and the responses they give to us, you get my point, you just become relaxed and know that, oh, they themselves, they are learning. Everybody's learning. So if you and I refuse to embrace this situation, which we cannot control, and see what? Growth opportunities out of it, how do we increase our persistence?
Very insightful. I mean, as we wrap up, I would like to say that next week we'll also try and look at skills. LinkedIn published skills that we must look out for. It's interesting that even among those skills, video production is also there.
Yes.
So it will be very critical skills that people need to begin to develop to know that, okay, even with masters and PhD, these are skills that will be sellable wherever you go globally. I mean, we're in a digital age. Fourth industrial revolution is real. we have to really upscale and, like you say, enhance
our
capabilities.
current capabilities. That's okay. We'll look forward to next week. That's an area that I'm actually, you know, having been a career coach myself and a mentor to people.
I look forward to that part.
So we'll look at that. At least you've given me something for us to zoom in on.
Definitely. Thank you so much,
My
Mr.
joy.
John Wesley. I mean, challenges are there, obstacles are there, difficulties are showing everywhere in this time, but it is an opportunity for us to learn and rethink. And like someone said, a time for the nation to also look again at its essence. And I believe for every company, for every individual, like you said, purpose, your essence at this time. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And that was a very interesting discussion we had again today, looking at growth mindset, ideas that will make you thrive. Indeed, amidst the challenges, the obstacles and difficulties, we must rethink, we must re-strategize, we must look at the opportunities to scale through. Many people have committed suicide because sometimes they felt, it was so overwhelming they couldn't manage it. But this is to encourage everyone there going through a challenging time this period. Don't give up. There's a silver lining, there's an opportunity for you to hold on to and pull through this challenge. And to those who feel this period that they are being despised or castigated or even stigmatized because of being infected with COVID-19, we say we are with you, we wish you speedy recovery. Even to family members going through challenging times this period, it's not the end of the road. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. That'll be all for this edition of the Strategic Management Discourse. Join us again next weekend as we continue this conversation. It promises to be very interesting, and you don't want to miss it. 11 a.m. on Saturday. Till we come your way again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day. And don't forget to log on to www.prochange.com to get all our news stories, videos, and analysis and insights. Stay safe.